The moment the girl's trembling fingers dropped the chocolate bar from her wheelchair, the world around her froze. The store manager's voice sliced through the air. "Caught you this time, thief." Everyone turned. The girl's eyes filled with silent tears as she tried to speak, but her lips quivered in fear. She couldn't even move her legs. She just sat there, fragile, helpless, and humiliated as people pulled out their phones to record her shame. And then from the corner of the store, a voice broke the silence, calm, strong, and filled with unexpected anger. "Enough," said a man holding a small hand, his little son's. "You don't talk to her like that." He was just a single dad out buying bread and milk. But that moment, he didn't know he was about to defend a girl who would change his life forever. Movie camera, before we dive into this emotional true-to-life story, make sure you hit that like button, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to Kindness Universe for more real and heart-touching stories that remind us humanity still exists. The small grocery store at the edge of the city was unusually crowded that evening. Rain tapped against the glass doors as people rushed inside to avoid getting drenched. Among them was Arav, a 38-year-old single father, carrying his 7-year-old son Rohan on his shoulders. Life hadn't been kind to Arav lately. His wife Maya had passed away 3 years ago after a long illness. Since then, it had just been him and Rohan against the world. He worked 2 jobs as a mechanic during the day and a food delivery rider at night. Every rupee he earned went toward his son's school fees and rent for their tiny one-room apartment. But despite all his struggles, Arav never let Rohan see his pain. He'd always smile and say, "We may not have much, but we have each other." That evening, while they waited in line at the counter, Rohan tugged at his sleeve. "Papa, can I have that chocolate?" Arav smiled weakly. "Not today, champ. Let's save it for Sunday, okay?" Rohan nodded, but his innocent eyes still lingered on the shelf. That's when the commotion started near the next aisle. A frail voice cried out, "I didn't take it, please. I swear I didn't take anything." Everyone turned to see a girl in a wheelchair, maybe 14 or 15, wearing old, patched-up clothes and clutching a small paper bag. Her hands trembled as a chocolate bar slipped out from under her blanket. The store manager, a burly man with a cold expression, grabbed her bag. "You think you can steal from me and get away with it?" he snapped. The girl shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "No, sir, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to see it. I was going to put it back." But her voice was drowned out by whispers and murmurs from the crowd. Typical, these poor people always make excuses. She looks disabled but still steals. Shame. Arav's heart twisted. He could see Rohan looking up at him, confused. "Papa, why are they shouting at her?" He knelt down and said softly, "Because sometimes, son, people forget what kindness means." Then he stood up and walked straight toward the girl. "Hey," Arav said firmly, placing himself between her and the manager. "That's enough. You've made your point. Let the girl go." The manager sneered. "And who are you, some hero?" "No," Arav replied quietly. "Just someone who knows what it's like to be humiliated for being poor." The girl looked up at him, wide-eyed, confused by his defense. Her voice trembled. "Sir, I didn't take it, I promise." Arav nodded. "I believe you." The manager scoffed. "You believe her? She was hiding the chocolate." "She was holding it," Arav corrected, his voice calm but steady. "And unless you have proof she intended to steal, you're accusing a child without reason. That's not justice, that's bullying." His tone carried such quiet authority that even the crowd fell silent. But the manager wasn't done. "Fine, if you believe her so much, then you pay for it." Without hesitation, Arav pulled out his wallet, tattered and thin, and handed him the money. "Here, now apologize to her." The man blinked in disbelief. "Apologize? You've got to be kidding." Arav's eyes hardened. "You humiliated her in front of everyone. The least you can do is say sorry." For a long moment the store was silent except for the rain outside. Then, grudgingly, the manager muttered, "Fine, sorry." The girl lowered her gaze, tears falling freely now. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. Arev smiled gently. "It's okay, you didn't do anything wrong." He bent down to meet her eye level. "What's your name?" "Mira," she said softly. "All right, Mira, how about we get you something to eat?" She hesitated but then nodded shyly. Outside, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. Arev bought a few snacks and sat with Mira and Rohan under the bus stop shelter. As they ate, Mira's story began to unfold piece by piece between bites and silences. Her father had been missing for 2 years. He was once a construction worker who'd gone to another city for work and never returned. Her mother had passed away last year, and since then, Mira had been living in a small slum area, cared for by an old neighbor. Her legs had been paralyzed since birth. "I didn't mean to steal," she said again, tears welling up. "I just wanted to buy something sweet, but I didn't have enough money." Arev felt a lump in his throat. He looked at his son, who was listening intently. "See, Rohan," he said gently, "never judge someone until you know their story." Mira smiled faintly. "You're a good man, sir." Arev chuckled softly. Just a father who wants his son to learn the right things. That night, as he dropped her back home, a small, broken hut near the railway track, Mira thanked him again. "I'll never forget your kindness." He smiled. "Be strong, Mira. The world's cruel, but you don't have to be." Days turned into weeks. Arev and Rohan often stopped by to visit Mira, bringing her books and home-cooked meals. She loved listening to Rohan talk about school and dreams of becoming a pilot. One afternoon, Arev received an unexpected call. A man from the city hospital wanted to meet him regarding Mira. When he arrived, the doctor handed him a file. "Mr. Arev, we've been looking for her family for months. Her treatment was sponsored by a man named Rajveer Khanna. He left this letter for her before he disappeared." Arev frowned. "Rajveer Khanna, that name sounds familiar." The doctor nodded. "He was a former army officer, and," he paused, glancing at Arev, "he's your late wife's elder brother." The words hit him like a wave. His wife's brother. That meant Mira was his niece. Arev opened the letter with trembling hands. Inside, Rajveer had written, "If anyone finds this, please take care of my daughter, Mira. I've gone into hiding after exposing corruption in my unit. They're after me. She's all I have," blurred Arev's eyes. He couldn't believe it. The girl he defended, the one he'd felt such inexplicable protectiveness toward, was his family all along. That evening, he went to Mira's hut. She was reading a small book Rohan had given her. When Arev told her the truth, she froze. "My father, you knew him." Arev nodded, holding back tears. "He was my brother-in-law. I thought he died years ago." Mira's voice broke. "Then you're my uncle." He smiled through his tears. "More than that, Mira. From now on, you're my daughter too." For the first time, Mira's face lit up with genuine joy. She wheeled herself forward and hugged him tightly. "I have a family again," she whispered. Over the next few months, life changed for all of them. Arev sold his old motorcycle and used the money to get Mira a second-hand electric wheelchair. He enrolled her in a home-schooling program and even managed to get partial funding for her physiotherapy sessions. Rohan adored her like a sister, and together they filled their small home with laughter that had long been missing. But the real miracle came one morning when Mira took her first small step, trembling but determined. Arev and Rohan watched, tears streaming down their faces as she whispered, "Papa, I can stand." Before we reach the ending, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Kindness Universe. Because stories like these remind us that kindness always finds its way home. A year later, Mira stood proudly beside Arev and Rohan at the park. She could walk with support now, her face radiant with life and confidence. The same store manager who had once humiliated her now approached with flowers in hand, humbled and apologetic. "I was wrong," he said quietly. "You taught me what true strength looks like." Mira smiled gently. We all make mistakes. What matters is we learn from them. Arev watched her with pride. His heart was full, not because of what he'd gained, but because of what he'd given: dignity, hope, and family. And as the sun dipped beyond the horizon, he whispered to himself, maybe God doesn't always send angels from the sky. Sometimes he sends them in wheelchairs, so we can remember what humanity really means. To Kindness Universe for more real, emotional stories that touch your soul and restore your faith in humanity. Because one act of kindness can change a life forever.